Hello again. Okay, now we can actually start working with Axios. But first, let's make sure our API is running. So as we said before, all we have to do is to go where our API is located, run any terminal or any command line. In my case, I'm using PowerShell. Open it here and use the command npm run dev to start running our API and listen for requests. Okay, once our API is running, we can leave this working and create a new directory which holds our project files. So I will create a new one and I will call it Axios underscore course. I will go into this directory and open it with Visual Studio Code. Once it's loaded, we actually need to create two basic files. First one is an HTML and another one to create our or to write our JavaScript code. So I will create index.html. Also, I will create a JavaScript file. I will just call it get requests as we're going to talk in this video about get requests. So I will separate each video with its JavaScript file for your reference. So get requests.js. And now I will create a basic boilerplate for our HTML. So I will create it and just come back to you. Okay, now the basic boilerplate for our HTML has been created. It's a basic HTML. All I did is added the bootstrap CDN for basic styling. Also, I've added the CDN of Axios. You can find this link in the description, and also if you search it for Axios CDN, you will find it everywhere. I also link it to the getRequest.js file so we can start writing our JavaScript code. Now it's time to go to our JavaScript file and start writing our code. First, let's see if this page is working. Okay, this is our simple page. I will open here the console. Okay. Now, first, how we can create or make a GET request using Axios. There is many ways to create GET requests using Axios. I will show you each one, and we will try to work with more advanced later. So first, we can just call Axios.get. Axios.get is actually a method in an Axios instance to create a GET request. The first parameter to this method is the URL we are issuing the request to. So let's see what endpoints and what URLs we have in our API. If we scroll to the available endpoints, we have the API slash box slash messages slash posts slash user. And if we go to the box endpoints, we can see that we can make a GET request to API slash box to get list of books. Also, we can make API slash box slash book ID to get a specific book record. So let's try to make the first GET request. Okay, we put here's the full URL. So HTTP slash slash and the IP, I use the local IP colon port slash API slash books. Okay, now we told Axios to make a GET request to this URL. or endpoint. But actually, is this will return a response? No. Axios uses what's called promises. Promises is, as it's named, promise is something that can be fulfilled or not. So Axios promises us to get a response from this URL using GET request. But this Axios can make this request success or not. So to work with this promise, we can say Axios get this something or this URL, and then if this request succeeded, do something. If not succeeded and you get an error, then catch this error and do something else. This is a basic syntax for working with promises. You make the request and tell Axios, then if it's fulfilled, if it's okay, then do something. If it's not, then catch this error and do something. So let's try. Then uncatch takes a callback. So we'll create an anonymous function in then and just say console.log success and same for catch and console.log failed. Okay, let's save, go to this page and hit reload. As you can see, we get success in our console, which means that when Axios succeeded to make a GET request to this URL, it executed the code inside the then function or the then method. Okay, now we know that request is succeeded, but how we get the response, the actual data? Actually, Axios pass the response in case of succeeding to the then callback. So we can take a parameter here, which will be passed by Axios, and just log it. So console log succeed, then console log this response thing. We just want to see what is this response. Let's hit refresh, we get success, and then we get a big object. Okay, let's see how this object is structured. First, we have what's called data. Data is the actual response that server sends to us back. So this part came from the server. It has nothing with Axios. As we can see, it returns error null because we don't have any error. We have data and some data related to books. We have 5 books here. And also, this is related to Axios. We get a status of 200, which means okay. Status text, which okay, of course. We also get the headers, get the configurations Axios used to create this request. We get the request object, actually an object that describes our request we made. And this all objects contains a lot of things we will explore later. But first, all we actually for now care about is this data, the actual response from our server. So let's only console log this data. So response dot data. Set refresh, success. And as we can see, server returns an object with 2 elements. First one is error. It's null since there's no errors. And another one called also data, but this is named by server, not Axios. It's not the base uh, parent data. It's the data that the server sent to us. We just uncollapse it. We have data, we have 5 books, so we can just simply loop through this box and say response dot data. This represents the full response of that we get from server, and then data is the actual it's a part of the response that our server sent to us. And then we do for each Visual Studio Code just put this array, we don't need it. So response.data for each element. We can console log. Let's see how it's structured. Each one has ID, name, author, whatever. So we can just log the element. This element is for each iterator dot ID and space it with element dot name. Refresh. We get 5 books, each one with its ID. Okay, now let's get back to our documentation for API. We can actually also get a specific book record using its book ID or the ID by doing a get request to /API/book/book ID. So let's try to get this Laravel book thing. Its ID is 4, so we can just /4 refresh. We get this book only. Okay, now we can make get requests, but this is not everything. We can make this same get request in multiple ways. Okay, there is a way using Axios get whatever's URL, then and catch. Let's see another way to create an Axios get request. So I will comment this code for you as a reference and try another one. Okay, the next way to create Axios get request is by calling Axios just like that, without method, without saying .get, .post, .whatever. And the parameter we have to pass here is called a config parameter. This config can contain a URL. So which URL you want to make a request to? You actually want to make a request to this URL. Just pass it as a string. Okay, next one is called method. Method is where we say we want our method to be get or post or whatever. So I will say get. Next, we do same with the promise. This way also returns a promise. So we say then this response do same thing and catch any error if you have any, and do this thing and just console log failed with error. Let's save and hit refresh. We get the same result, but using another way of making get request. Okay, is this done? No, Axios offers us with a third way to make a get request. Let's see how it works. We'll also comment this and try another way. Actually, let's say Axios and pass the URL, just copy it, paste it, and say then do something with the response. Copy this login and send, sorry, and catch any error to this thing. Will this work? Let's see. Hit refresh, and yes, it's working. Okay, how this is working without setting the method we want to send this request with? Let's first just enlarge this and go to network tab. Now hit refresh. See what's the request that Axios sent. Expand this a little bit. We can see that request is using get method, but we didn't said that we want to send this request as a get. There is nothing here mentioning get. Okay, Axios by default, if you don't specify or you don't set the method you want to use Axios send the request with, it uses the get request. So this is by default. Okay, now we can create a get request in 3 different ways. But let's see something. If you can see here, we put a long URL, same with here, same with here. Also, if your project is large and you're making a lot of requests and loading data from server, you will have this repeated over and over again. Okay, if there is any way with Axios we can simplify this, there is actually a way to simplify this. Actually, before this line, can say Axios dot defaults dot base URL, and we set it equal to, for example, let's say this URL. Okay, we told Axios set the default URL to this URL. Okay, let's just hit refresh. It's console first. Okay, we get same result, but actually it did nothing. We also still have the full URL here. Okay, let's try remove this part and just Axios box. Hit refresh, works without saying the full URL of the API we are sending the request to. This line actually sets the base URL of all requests made by Axios to this URL. So actually, each time we make a request, Axios append what we specified here to the base URL. So as if it takes this as a copy and paste it here to each request. Okay, but it looks very cool and very simplified. But this is not the best way to set the base URL. Let's imagine if our project uses 2 different APIs. And for one API, we get the box. From another API, we get the posts or get users or whatever. So if we set it like this, all requests will be issued to this base URL because we set the global or default base URL. Okay, can we limit this to some requests? Yes, can just remove this line, or I'll just comment it for you as a reference and try another way. Let's define a new constant. As a modern JavaScript, we just use constants, and let's call it, for example, API is equal to Axios, sorry, dot create. Okay, we told Axios when to create another instance of Axios, and there's some configurations. I will set only one thing. It's just base URL, the same as we said before, same one, and I will set it this URL. Okay, we now created a different object or a new object or instance from Axios with these configurations. So now, instead of using Axios in here and in here and in here, we can just replace this with our object our instance, sorry, we have created. Let's save and hit reload. We get the same result. But now our configurations only limited when we are using the instance we have created, which called API. But when you use Axios, it's just run as a default, just as you set your full URL. So this is for creating get requests. Next, video, we will discuss how to make um, post requests. So I hope you learned something new. I hope you like it. If you like it, then like it and subscribe to get notifications when next videos. So thank you and goodbye.